Warning. This podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. We could. It looks like we may have. I think we might have actually gotten this thing up and somewhat running. So, welcome everyone to what is prospectively the first episode of the What Did I Say show? A show where we get a chance to go over all the things that we predicted or thought may have happened during one of the MMA events that has gone on since the last I'm No Joe podcast, which is available over on YouTube. For those who may be seeing this on YouTube after the fact, we are doing this live and unassisted, unsupervised over on mixer.com/themeterdoesthings, which is where I hope to host the What Did I Say show after upcoming events, where we can go and do a little bit of recapping over the things that have happened that we talked about, or maybe that we didn't talk about during the latest I'm No Joe podcast. So, first and foremost, a thing that we did not get a chance to talk about on the last I'm No Joe podcast. It literally slipped under the radar. I do apologize for that, but what I'm talking about here is the debut of one Colby Northcutt, the sister of Super Sage, made her MMA debut over in ONE FC and won her debut match by unanimous decision, moving her to the better of the siblings Northcutt over in ONE FC. Check down there. One fight in, already a better record than her brother. So, moving on to some things that we did talk about on this last week's I'm No Joe podcast. Bellator London 2. The card's so casual we didn't even have a casual corner for it because our casual was too casual for how casual this card was. So one of the things that we were talking about was the Fabian Edwards-Mike Shipman fight. This was a very strange thing to watch because Mike Shipman absolutely dominated that fight, outplayed, outmatched, and I believe outstruck. And really, Fabian Edwards, I feel, got gifted that win because it was the hometown boy. He was the hometown hero. He was supposed to win. The London boys were supposed to run the show. And even though MVP and him were involved in that little weird scuffle thing earlier, Edwards got the W. I don't believe he earned it, and I thought it was a little weird that he's the hometown boy. He gets the decision win in a fight that everyone feels he lost, including the crowd, because when they announced it, he actually got booed more than cheered, and then he turned around and gave the crowd the finger all the way around at home, which, right, whatever, okay, weird flex, but all right. Turns out I was wrong. There is no good Edwards brother. They're both douchebags. They're just douchebags in different organizations, it seems. So, next thing that we anticipated, and go figure, it happened just like we thought it was going to. MVP clipped the last-minute soup can that they threw against him. I will say this guy, this no-name, nobody, last-minute guy, looked, at least aesthetically, like he had more of a chance than most of the other pizza delivery dudes that MVP fights. Still, he got clipped and crumpled up just like every other soup can he's fought, so what are you going to do? It's almost like we've been calling it every time they put MVP up against legitimate competition. He pretty much gets his ass beat. Every time they give him a soup can, he looks spectacular. Whatever, what are you going to do? He did, I think, almost ironically, get on the microphone and immediately didn't say he wanted that Lima rematch. They asked him, do you want the Lima rematch? He didn't even answer. He asked the crowd, and I use air quotes strongly, do you guys want to see me fight Lima again? To which there was a very mediocre meh. And then he said, well, there you go. And then he turned around and said, you know what? The only fight I want next is that Lima fight. I want to run that back, which is a little bit ironic. Even the commentators were talking about how ridiculous it is that he keeps ducking real competition. Um, what are you going to do, though? Realistically, I think he should take the Paul Daly rematch before he takes the Douglas Lima rematch, especially now that Douglas is running the show. I don't feel that MVP should be even allowed to look at the belt anytime soon until he starts fighting legitimate competition. But we'll see what Scott Coker lets happen over there. Moving along from there, that will bring us to something that we actually mentioned before the show, and I don't believe we actually got a chance to mention during the show. That is Glory 71 and 72 from the Windy City, from Chicago. Glory 71, I actually did not get a chance to catch and have not had a chance to rewatch, so I absolutely encourage everybody that is interested in some great fucking kickboxing to go and watch that. But I did get a chance to watch Glory 72 after Bellator was done. Now, I will say this. The head kick that Kamosi somehow survived, holy shit, that would have put most people out and almost put him out. It's almost impressive that he just survived that head kick alone, but then to turn around and come back. And I get that he looked bad in the beginning with the early shots that he took, but I felt that he more than made up for that and should have won that fight, being as how it went the distance. The other thing, real quick, from Glory 72 this past weekend, it's a strange thing in combat sports. The saying goes is to be the man, you got to beat the man. To get the belt, you have to take the belt. You shouldn't be gifted the belt. You shouldn't get decisioned the belt, in the opinion of a lot of hardcore fans like myself. Petch was really fighting a very strange fight against Van Ostrin. I get that there's a reason that Petch is the champion, that he holds that belt for a reason. It's not a coincidence, but he didn't look like himself. He barely threw any left kicks. He was really engaging without having what looked like a game plan. Van Ostrin's untraditional, unorthodox to begin with, but it seemed like this time when him and Petch were in there, he just had Petch fighting in such an untraditional, to his own style, method. It looked weird, but the thing that really bugged me was that after that really great match, they end in a majority draw, but Petch gets to keep the belt. In the fight before that, they went to a draw, and they got to go another round to decide to fight, which I agree. It was close enough. It should have won an extra round, but I think if Petch would have won another round with Van Ostrin, I don't know that he would have necessarily won, because he was starting to look a little flustered, realistically. So I don't know. I don't agree with that whole keep the belt on a majority draw. I think that's weird, especially since there wasn't really a lot of talk of running it back. And I get that this was a rematch already, but this was also for the belt. And that's a little more serious than an average matchup. Last little thing I will talk about here, last recap from this last week's that we actually didn't mention because I got my dates mixed up. I thought it was this coming weekend. I thought it was Thanksgiving weekend. It was not. It was this last weekend. Wilder versus Ortiz. I don't know how, but Ortiz is the oldest looking young man in boxing today. He looked like George Foreman. It was bad. He looked like a 60-year-old, 25-year-old. And, not to take away from Deontay Wilder, because his right hook, I believe, is either a hook or a straight, absolutely put Ortiz down for the count. He didn't know where the hell he was. He absolutely dropped him. But my biggest problem with the evening over on that side, aside from the fact that Santa Cruz versus Flores fight was about as boring as watching fucking paint dry. What in the actual fuck was going on with Deontay's outfit that he wore to the ring? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I encourage you to go immediately after this is over. Go to Google and just look up Deontay Wilder. I'm sure it will be one of the top search results. Or look up Deontay Wilder versus Ortiz outfit walkout. You'll see. It was bad. It was ridiculous and bad. So that's it. Not a whole lot to talk about this weekend. Did not have a whole lot that we originally thought was really going to be worth mentioning. Do have a couple of fight announcements that have come about, but I am going to save those. I believe next week we will be doing our show, I'm No Joe, on YouTube for the upcoming UFC DC card. I believe is either next week or the following week. The Thursday before that card happens, we will be doing an I'm No Joe podcast with a full breakdown for that. Maybe even a special guest for that one as well. Maybe a couple special guests for that one. You never know. You will have to tune in. For everyone who watches this over on mixer.com/themeterdoesthings. Thank you for tuning in and checking this out over here. For everyone who is watching this on YouTube, where it will get uploaded after the fact. Keep your eyes on mixer.com/themeterdoesthings. I will try to keep doing these live over on Mixer if I can get everything working like I think I kind of may have seemed to have gotten it going now. It seems to look like it's working, so we're going to try and go with it. That's all we've got for this evening, though. So remember, until next time, folks, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless you think Jeffrey Epstein really killed himself. Either way, have a great night, folks. Thanks again to Eddie and the Arsons for the intro music, eddieandthearsons.com. New album, marked as safe, available Black Friday, so head on over there, get your copy today. Have a great night, folks.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they fought with expert timing. There were funky Chinamen from funky Chinatown. They were chopping them up, they were chopping them down. It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part. From a fainting to a slip, and a kicking from the hip, everybody was